Hi there. I haven't posted in a while. There isn't much to say. My mother's incision is badly infected, unfortunately. So we've been dealing with that, going back and forth to doctors. She hooked up with some nursing service or something. And even though she's 82 years old, because she drives, they won't come to her house. So she's had to drive across town every time to get them to look at it. And she's fed up with them because every time she goes there, she sees a different nurse who obviously hasn't seen her before, so they can't even tell her whether it's improving or not. So at this point, we've given up on that, or she's given up on that. And she's seeing our family doctor, who has given her his cell phone in case there's an emergency. And he's actually had to put a drain in to drain this thing. It's pretty disgusting to talk about, but so we're pretty concerned about that. And Mom's getting frustrated. I mean, she had the surgery on the 19th of January, and we're into February now, which doesn't seem like very long considering it was heart surgery, but it was the small incision heart surgery. So, you know, she shouldn't be having problems with her incision now. It should be dealt with, but there's that. With me, the pension I applied for, I have to now get legal aid, which is free, thank God. They have a division that deals with this in particular. And I have to face an adjudicator. So that takes time. It could be 3 or 4 months before I even get a date for that. In the meantime, I wait for them to send my files either to the lawyer or to me. And then we get together and discuss it, and figure out a plan of attack, and etc., etc. And then we wait for the date. In the meantime, we're still investigating some health issues I have, the dizziness and the passing out and things like that. Also, I cut my hair. I don't know if you can see that, because my hair's been falling out, which is interesting. It might be a nutritional thing. I've added some more supplements to my diet. I have a digestive disorder, so I have a hard time. I do have bangs. Anyways, I have a hard time processing certain foods, so sometimes I think I'm probably not getting the nutrients I need from my diet. And I'm pretty limited as far as diet changes at this point. There's been so many that I've made. I don't know what else I could do, other than just not eat and live on supplements, which is not an option. Unfortunately, the one thing that does get processed really well is fat, obviously. But yeah, so it might be nutritional issues. So I've been taking new supplements on the advice of my physician to see, but it's only been a couple of weeks, so we'll see. Not even a couple of weeks, probably a week and a half. So we'll see if that helps. In the meantime, I'm going to be seeing a dermatologist. I do have mild plaque psoriasis, but I've had that a long time, and I've never experienced hair loss like I have now, which is, I mean, like, I haven't got noticeable bald spots, but there's definite thinning at the back. And so I cut my hair, and hopefully it will grow back, and if I left it as long as it was, it would be all these weird lengths and stuff. So anyway, so maybe the dermatologist has some suggestions or some answers. I don't know. Personally, I doubt very much that it's nutritional or the psoriasis, because I think it's stress. Because as people who watch know, like, there's been a lot of stress in my life since last May when I lost my job. It was pretty stressful before that too, because the new boss was interesting. Anyway, I think it may be. I knew that I was losing some hair. I debated on whether I was actually losing it or it was just breaking because of drying, but when I stayed at my mother's, I guess I must have lost a lot, because she was vacuuming and the vacuum clogged and I was only there a month, so that's pretty bad. Like, that's a lot of hair. So that's, that's a little scary. I know I've lost some at the front. You can sort of see that. Like, I have thicker hair than that, but I mean, it's not like to the point where it's like, it looks look like Friar Tuck or anything, right? But it's there. It's definitely there, or not there, as it were. I'm not. I'm not panicking over that. I'm not a big person on my physical appearance being that important. I mean, I don't want to go bald, obviously, and I do, put on makeup and that kind of stuff when I go out and that kind of stuff. But it's not a be-all and end-all of my life. I've got bigger fish to fry, kind of thing. But it's concerning. I mean, if there is a nutritional reason, then what else am I losing, right? Like, what else? Anyway, I'm very worried about my mom, which is funny because, like, I have enough issues of my own, but I'm more concerned about her. But I guess that's in my nature. I don't know. So anyways, so they're gonna get me an appointment with a dermatologist. I talked to my doctor about, we're still trying to get to the bottom of the dizziness, and we know some of the dizziness is bilateral vestibulopathy, which is, I had to practice that one. It's your ear canals are damaged, so mine are damaged. And we found out years ago, I went to a dizziness clinic, which was really interesting, and they put me through some tests, and they figured that out. And that causes dizziness and that kind of thing. But it doesn't usually cause, like, passing out. And it doesn't usually cause migraines, which I do have sometimes. So, that could be part of the dizziness, but I don't think so. Like, it's got to be something else going on. And the passing out thing it's pretty random. Like, I have no warning whatsoever. I just wake up on the floor, and that's kind of scary. I could be out walking somewhere. So anyway, when I was a child, it was about a year and a half. I was a baby. I fell down the stairs, cracked my heel open pretty badly. There was a lot of blood loss. I fractured my skull, apparently, and apparently I regressed as well. So, like, I had been walking, I stopped walking, I'd been speaking, and I'd stopped speaking, and eventually I caught up. But it was a bad enough thing that it really affected me. And I had never really told my family doctor about that. He's been my family doctor since I was a teenager, but I never really mentioned it because I didn't think about it. But my mom mentioned it to me a couple of weeks ago, and she said, "Did you ever tell him that?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Well, maybe you should. It could be, it could be, that could be the reason why. There might be some residual effect from that. There may be some nerve damage or something." And I went, "Well, it's been a long time. I was a baby, and I'm now in my 50s, but okay." So I mentioned it to him, and he said, "Well, you should have an MRI on your brain." And I went, "Well, you did schedule one, and then something went wrong with the scheduling, and I never had it done." And he said, "Well, let's get it done, and just in case." They want to get to the bottom of it, basically. So thankfully, people say a lot about the healthcare system, especially Americans. They think that our healthcare system doesn't work, et cetera, et cetera. And there are issues, absolutely. Years and years ago, they went from federally funded to provincially funded, which means that any of the provinces that have a more complicated infrastructure have less funding left over to provide for the healthcare, which was a really bad idea. Like, if they had left it at federal, we'd be fine. So not everything is covered, right? But still, your family doctor can order tests, and you don't have to pay for them out of pocket, and so that leaves him pretty free to to investigate illnesses and symptoms and that kind of thing. So I've been going through a lot of tests and stuff. So we're ordering an MRI on my brain to prove that it's there. It's there. It doesn't always function. Just to see if there's some damage from that. So we're going that route. And right now, for the next 2 more weeks, I'm on another Holter monitor. That's what this is here. And they're monitoring my heart rate to see if maybe there's arrhythmia going on. So it records randomly 24/7. And the idea of, like, I had a 24-hour one, But my doctor felt that if there was something that random, in that 24 hours, maybe nothing happened to me. Maybe I won't get a dizzy spell. Maybe I won't pass out. I still haven't passed out since I had this, but I've had a couple of dizzy spells and that kind of thing. They should, for arrhythmia, they test it over a long period of time. Makes sense, right? Like, arrhythmia can be very random heart defect and heart murmurs and that kind of stuff. So I'm on this thing for another 2 weeks, and we'll see if that's anything. There's a lot of health problems in my family history. There's heart defects, stroke, diabetes, chronic depression, a lot of things. So we're looking into that, basically. So that's an update on me and what's going on with me. That's about it, really. Very concerned about my mother's decision. Pretty upset about that. Pretty upset that they sent her home after heart surgery without antibiotics. And I understand that people have leaned away from antibiotics over the years, the last few years, because the body becomes dependent on it and that kind of thing. I get that, but if you have a history of infections, which she does, and all they had to do was look at her charts, the best bet was to put her on antibiotics before she even left the hospital, and because they didn't, this has happened, and she's really fighting it. And it's hard on her. I mean, she's 82 years old. It's hard on her body to constantly fight like that. For her body to constantly fight an infection that shouldn't have happened in the first place. Hopefully that will clear up. We have a really great family doctor. He's one of these people that just really struggles and really fights and really investigates things, thankfully. Not all doctors are like that. Especially on a healthcare system like ours. For the most part, our physicians are excellent. But I think because they're all on the same system, some people that I know have complained that their doctor just doesn't seem to care. It's almost like they get paid the same regardless of what they do. I have never come across that. I have never had a problem with healthcare. I've never waited a long period of time for surgeries. I've never had that issue. But I have heard other people have issues. In fact, our new hospital down here, which is supposed to be state of the art, etc., etc. There's been a lot of people that have complained that they've had issues with it and they weren't treated well, and etc., etc. What surgeries I've had, I haven't had any problems with it. So maybe I just lucked out. I don't know, or maybe I just have a really good family physician that has a tendency to really look into things. Anyway. So that's life right now. I'm still trying to stay positive. I'm still, because that's the type of person I am. And things will get better. Things will work out one way or the other. Anyway, that's it for now. Talk to you later.